I opened the email and it says I had just earned a spot to, run Berlin Marathon. 2 months and 22 days from the date of the marathon. My name is Marcia in Spanish, but in English is Marcia. So people were like, Marcia, 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 like the Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
Had a lot of fun. Yeah. Born and raised in Costa Rica. That I was diagnosed with breast cancer. When you have cancer, cancer is always with you. Am I going to leave my daughter behind? Am I going to survive? At the 4-week mark, I was able to run again. I am very healthy because of running. Mentally, I'm very strong because of running.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to recover very fast, both mentally and physically from that, thanks to running. I will always say that.
Hey listeners, I'm your host, Kamal Dada. Enjoy the story.
Welcome, Marcia, to the podcast. I'm really excited to have you here and hear about your running journey. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be here as well.
Great. Let's start a little bit learning about your background, Marcia, if you want to share.
Okay, well, born and raised in Costa Rica. I've been living here my whole life. I work in HR. I'm an HR manager for a medical device manufacturing company. I've been here. I've worked for that company for the last 5.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I have a daughter. She's 15 right now, so she hates me a little bit. As most things, how that is. And I'm pursuing a master's degree right now.
Oh, great. Okay.
An MBA as well. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's a lot on your plate then, working. You didn't mention, or you'll talk a lot about running for sure. So running,
yeah,
working full time as in HR, in a tech, device company, family, and doing an MBA. So that's a lot on your plate, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I like to be like that. I mean, I like to cherish life as much as I can, doing as much as I can. So I like to be full. Yeah.
That's great. So you did Berlin Marathon this year, 2023.
That's correct. Yep.
Let's start a little bit. If you want to share some of your key highlights or experience of Berlin Marathon this year.
Okay, the funny thing with that marathon, it's my third major. The thing
great.
is, I applied for the drawing and I was rejected. I was actually rejected. I applied for London and Berlin and I was rejected. So, I said to myself, okay, that's it. Okay, that's okay. And I actually enter another race, Big Bear Marathon in November, California, because I'm trying to qualify for Boston, and that's a downhill marathon. I thought, okay, my chances to get a Boston qualifier may improve if I run a downhill marathon. I just forgot about London and Berlin and all that, but Berlin had like a waiting list or something like that, like you could enter your name, and if spots were, I don't know, free during the year, you could earn a spot, something like that. I don't remember. I don't even remember putting my name on that list.
Oh, okay.
Come early June, June 4th, I think, I received an email from the organization, and I didn't even open it because I was just like, this is probably, I don't know, advertising or I don't know, something else. And at noon, when I'm like having lunch and, some quiet time, I open the email and it says I had just earned a spot to, run Berlin Marathon. 2 months and 22 days from the date of the marathon, and I was just, creating base for the marathon in November. I wasn't running that much, or, my long runs were like, I don't know at what, stage I was at that time, but they weren't where they supposed to be if you're running a marathon in 2 months.
Right.
Yeah. So it was fun. It was, it was just, juggling, trying to, trying to open up my miles, but at the same time trying to not get injured in the process. So it took
Right.
a lot of, strength training, a lot of physical therapy, because what hurt 1 week, the other week didn't hurt, but another thing hurt.
Yeah.
Because, and, I run 4 times per week. That's, I said, I mean, let's try to do as much, the best as that I can, but I'm not gonna force myself or get injured in the process. So 4 days per week for me did the trick. And at the end of the day, I didn't. The marathon went well. I did actually a negative split, the first one for me. So
Hmm.
I'm very proud of that. And
Yeah.
my splits were kind of even. At Chicago, my splits were all over the place.
Hmm.
At Chicago, my time was 3 hours and 59 seconds in some change. And at Berlin, I did 4 hours and something. So it wasn't, that much of a difference. And
Right.
for 2 months, I'm very satisfied with my result. I enjoyed it a lot. And it was my first time in Europe as the same, as well. So it was a great trip, great race. The people were amazing. Very well organized. Had a lot of fun. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And yeah, it will trigger a panic button if you get a confirmation like 2 months and 22 days
Yeah.
before the race. Like, okay, hey, you got it. I'm excited, but oh my goodness, there's 2 months left. Now, what do I do?
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
most
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the training plans are like 16 to 20 weeks. So it's like, this is
Exactly.
if you're keeping up and say you're running marathons all the time, so probably it's not a big deal, but probably you're not on that boat when you got the email, right?
Exactly. But it took me all of, I think, 2 seconds to decide, yes, I'm going wrong.
Yeah, you got it. So you better make the best out of it.
Yeah.
Um, but you also have a winning story, a story of survival, or a great story. It's not that you got the email in 2 months and 22 months that you're ready and go running, but you have a story that goes in, a story of surviving. You want to share a little bit more on that?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's a story that I'm grateful for. It kind of changed my life and how I view life now. When in 2022, I was, deciding on which marathon to run. I was probably going to run a Rebel race because I'm trying to qualify for Boston. But I had a medical checkup at the beginning of the year, regular, just regular checkup. And I had a mammogram.
Mhm.
And the results, the end result of that was that I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So, all my running plans for the year, were
Right,
canceled. I had not enrolled on any or sign up for any marathon, but, all of a sudden my life, I was okay on a Sunday, and the next Monday I was just, I had cancer. So I wasn't able to run as much because when you have cancer, cancer is always with you.
right,
And yeah, and so I will be driving my car from home, and it's just like, you're always thinking, am I going to leave my daughter behind? Am I going to survive? What is going to happen? A lot of things.
right.
So I wasn't able to run that much during that year. And I also had to undergo major surgery. What started like they were just going to remove the tumor. At the end of the day, they had to remove the entire breast. It was a full mastectomy, so it was a major surgery. But when I had the surgery, it was like, I've been training my whole life for this, and I'm
Mhm.
going to run, and I'm going to run as soon as possible. That was like a mission.
Right,
Because running had taught me that, to be resilient, to persevere, to listen to my own body, because,
right.
I also took the enough time to first, I started walking, then I started, it was very slow, but at the same time very fast, because that was my goal, to be back to running as soon as possible. And at the 4-week mark, and kids don't try this at home, but at the 4-week mark, I was able to run again, very
Wow.
slowly, like 1 mile, something like that.
Right.
And thankfully, the cancer was caught very early.
Mhm.
And I'm on medication for the next 5 years, but running has you know is I'm very healthy because of running. Mentally, I'm very strong because of running.
Mhm.
And I was able to recover very fast, both mentally and physically, from that, thanks to running. I will always say that it was running that taught me how to recover from that, in a in a very good way. Yeah.
No, it's so glad to hear, that you're contributing that to the habits and the resilience that you build through running. The amazing
Mm-hmm,
story
mm-hmm,
of winning. I'm glad that, you're doing okay, you were doing well,
mm-hmm,
and you
mm-hmm.
did
Yep.
well in this year too. So
Yeah.
kudos to you and your mental and physical strength that you have persevered this. It's definitely very, very tough for anyone to go through. So great to
Thank
hear
you.
that.
Thank you very much.
Let's go back a little bit, Marcia,
Mm-hmm,
because you said you've been preparing for this moment for all your life. So, like,
mm-hmm,
how did you get into running or build that, you know, liking or, passion for long distance running that,
mm-hmm.
you are here and we're chatting today?
Okay. Well, I started running like in my early 20s, but it wasn't like long distance running.
Sure.
I lived in a small town, and I remember going to the nearest town, and people would say, "Oh, you run so much." And yeah, I said to myself, "Yeah, I run a lot." Now looking back, it's like 3 miles back and forth.
Okay.
Something like that. But I thought to myself, oh my God, I'm a good runner, and I run so much. But I continued to run. And when when I ran a few races, 10K races here and there, nothing, but not following a training plan or anything like that.
Mhm.
When but when I was like, I don't know, it was back in 2012, something like that, I decided that I wanted to just, take my running up to a different level. And
Mhm.
I enrolled, I signed up for a half marathon.
Oh, okay.
I started training, and then my mom passed away.
Oh,
So
okay.
when my mom passed away, the thing is, she was the sole caretaker of my grandma,
Mhm.
87-year-old grandma. So that was my, I had to take care of her. So I had to stop running because I had my daughter who was 5 and my 87-year-old grandma, and I wasn't, I didn't have much support or anything like that. So I wasn't able to run the half marathon that year. And but something very very good happened that year as well. I wasn't able to run for 6 months, something like that. But then, and I was, so deep in my sorrow and mourning and all that. And one day, a neighbor who has like a running group invited me to go running with them. And I
Mhm.
remember very hesitant, but I went trail running, which is not my thing, but that's okay.
Mhm.
And then when I went back from that run, I felt happy. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I can feel happy again. I felt happy for the first time in 6 months. I
Mhm.
felt happy. And I thought to myself, I don't want to lose this. This made me, this made me happy. This gave me happiness. I'm going to continue running. And I did. So, yeah. So next year, I think the next year, I ran my first half marathon,
Great.
205, something like that.
Mhm.
I managed to use someone, to take care of my grandma and my daughter and all my, things. And some days I wasn't able to run, but I ran in front of my house on the block because, I knew my grandma and my daughter were alone. So I had to run in front of my house, whatever it took. I did it, in the middle of the day. I just, I working. I will go run and then go back to the office, and
Mhm.
I did what I could. And then, but I was hooked. After that first half marathon, I decided, okay, I'm gonna run the New York City Marathon for my for the year I turned 40. That was my goal. I
Great.
applied to enter the drawing. I didn't get in, so I paid for a travel package. That's because that was my goal. And I trained myself. Mm, I always run alone, so I trained myself, and I did very good. And that was, that event was so exciting. It was great, and it was New York,
Yeah.
and the people, and my name is Marcia in Spanish, but in English is Marcia. So people were like Marcia, 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 like the Brady Bunch, and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, everybody. It was amazing. It was one of the best experiences of my life. And after that, I just I had heard about the World Marathon Majors, so I decided, okay, I'm gonna complete them one day.
Mhm.
For 2019, applied for the 2020 Chicago Marathon.
Mhm.
I did earn the spot for that one, but
Great.
but of course COVID came, and that how that went. So I ran that one on 2021, actually.
Mhm.
It was a great experience as well. Chicago, it was very hot, but yeah, it was good as well. And then Berlin this year. And so yeah,
Great. So you are on to your third. So you already wrapped up third majors.
third. Yes.
Oh, great. Now, thanks for sharing your journey. It looks like, you found your way into running and the benefit you get, which you don't want it to leave. So that's why you're continuing. It's
Yes.
great to hear. And the feeling, I think you mentioned that you went for the trail run with your neighbors, and that the feeling you
Hmm.
got that, hey, I feel happy after
Yes.
six
Yes.
months. Yeah,
Hmm.
that feeling can actually be a anchor to continue on that. And
Exactly.
looks like you are doing it. So it's pretty amazing. So what's next for Marcia?
Qualify for Boston.
Great.
Fingers crossed.
So you're shooting for it next
Yeah.
2025?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna run a rebel race probably next
Mhm.
year to
Okay.
try to qualify, downhill and all that, and to try to qualify for 2025, I will say. But you know, this year it's like I'm on a 350. That's my qualifying time. So, but
Mhm.
with the cutoff, I
Right.
need like a 345 or less. So
A lot of people are
yeah,
disheartened this year about the
yeah.
5 minutes
So
and I think some
who
minute
knows
seconds. Yeah.
what's going to be for next year's, but yeah, I need to shoot for that. So I right now I'm strength training, and I'm swimming, and I'm doing a lot of things to get very strong
Hmm.
prior to my starting my training for my next marathon, which will be probably Big Bear, or yeah, probably Big Bear. So I have more than 1 year, not 2 months,
Right.
thankfully,
Right. Right.
but I like 1 year to prepare for that one. Yeah.
Okay. So you're running another marathon pretty soon?
No, November 2024.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you have, yeah, a little over a year now to
Little over a year. Yeah.
to
Hmm.
prepare for. Okay. All the best. I'm sure you're doing the right things and you have the learnings from three majors. You're going to apply that. Yeah. Being a qualifier for Boston actually has a different feeling compared to the other ways to get into. Like I did run
Hmm.
through charity, but people who qualified, have the sweat to show for it. It's a different
Yeah.
way, different feeling
Hmm.
complete than going different routes. But yeah, if you have a goal, you figure out a way to get into it, right? So that's how people do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, let's chat a little bit about you. You mentioned different aspects or your life that has supported you along the way. I'm just
Hmm.
curious to know, how does your support system looks today as you are chasing
Hmm.
some big goals?
Hmm.
Um, you have gone through significant moments in your life of winning, overcoming your personal challenges too. Like,
Hmm.
how does the support system looks today for you, Marcia?
Well, like I mentioned at the beginning, I've been my workplace for the last 5.5 years. So they have been through 2 cycles of marathon training with me and two
Okay.
majors. So they are amazing. I mean, they wait for me like I'm a champion.
Awesome.
Like I just won the marathon. And I, for this one for Berlin, I came with my medal and they were waiting for me with something to eat and drink and a little bit of they gave me flowers and all that. So yeah, my workplace co-workers are amazing, and my family as well. My daughter and my sister, which is the only basically family that I have. But yeah, they are amazing with that as well. Yeah.
Oh, great, great. That's good to know. I think it's good to have that at work, at home, the support system you have built. I think
Exactly.
definitely they're cheering for you as you are accomplishing those goals.
Hmm.
Um, as you've seen three majors, any other key highlights that you have noticed, like, okay, world majors versus non-world majors, any of the key highlights that you have noticed?
First of all, the people, of
Mhm.
course, they are so supporting along the way. Um, New York is amazing. I think,
Yes.
yeah, we can only agree on that. But Chicago, yeah, it's amazing as well. In Berlin was too. Berlin, it was really interesting for Berlin that they had like this symphonic. I don't know, people were like with violins and things like that.
Oh,
It's like
yes.
kind of like
Performances.
their culture is a little bit different. While in New York, they will be like Latino music or different type of music. So it's funny to see that as well. And and the runners, that amazing community, because at the hotel you are surrounded by runners, and
Right.
we are all like so focused on, yeah, we're running the marathon on you start that at the airport. Actually, you start
Okay.
start seeing, okay, he's with, he's I don't know, you start looking at the shoes. That's a runner. That's a
Yeah.
runner. That
Yeah.
that's he's on my plane and he's a runner. I know he's a runner. Or you go, of course, for example, for Berlin, I at the airport, I had my Chicago Marathon, shirt on. So,
Yep. Yep.
because people need to know that I am a runner, and
Right.
and all of us are like that. So yeah, and just I spoke with so many people, the hotel and the airport and here and there. So that amazing community that you don't get perhaps at a local marathon. That's also great thing. Yeah.
That is true. That is true. Yeah, and when I was traveling, and a lot of folks I saw from Boston wearing Boston marathon
Uh-huh.
jackets, right?
Uh,
To make sure that, hey, I
yeah.
ran Boston and I'm going for Berlin now. Yeah, to make sure that
Exactly.
people knows them too.
For sure, because people has to know that you're a
Yep.
marathon runner all the time.
Oh, especially if you run the majors and you have
Oh yeah.
something to show for it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was great chatting with you, Marcia. Wish you all the best for qualifying for Boston and all the
Thank
best.
you.
I'm sure you'll do great and you'll give your
Thank you.
best effort and it yields you. And hopefully you show up in Boston in 2025.